ちょっとでも長くこうして隣にいたいよ。どっかですごい渋滞していないかな。大好きだよ。駅はもう聞かない。
Hello?
Hello!
We're on.
We're on. Sorry we're a little late today, folks. Welcome to the Tuesday Super Show. I had some kid stuff this morning to do, and so and some other businessy things to discuss. So we had to do the thing.
Stuff.
So we're about half an hour behind, but that's okay. We're still going to bring you a super awesome super show today. Yes, we are. So Pete has got a fucking badass rundown today. So we're going to jump right into it. If you want to know more about what's going on, don't forget to go to gamersheavenpnw.com. We're going to be making some cool new announcements in the next few days. I teased it to Pete yesterday for what the July promotions are going to be.
Yes.
July's going to be dope.
Yes.
We got Street Fighter this Friday. We got Mario Kart this Saturday. So go there, look at the calendar, see all the things that are happening, and come see us in the store.
Yes.
So with that, we're going to jump into our first topic today. Obviously, during the pandemic, we all became Among Us stans, okay? Because I think that was, aside from maybe like Jack Games, some of the trivia stuff, that was like the pandemic.
The
like,
social connection game.
Yes, that everybody played for the first like 9 months of the pandemic. So, with all that being said, Pete, what did we find out this morning?
Among Us is getting an animated TV show. Yeah, that's right. If you've ever wanted to watch the imposters and versus the shipmates, there you go. They're doing it. It is, let's see, who is making it? It is
CBS Studios.
CBS
is the
Studios.
production company.
Now here's the thing: the animation studio for it is the animation studio that did Big Mouth.
Yeah.
So they have experience churning out stuff.
And Star Trek Lower Decks.
There you go. The executive producer of the show, it says is Owen Dennis, who created it says HBO Max show, but it's a Cartoon Network show, Infinity Train, which was really good. I really liked it. So yeah, that's going to be, I think it's going to be awesome.
I think that they should get the dudes that did Red vs. Blue to do it. Rooster Teeth doesn't work on projects like this. That's not really their shtick. Here's the thing. I think this has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Right? So first off, let's start with the fact that Among Us is loosely based on The Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it was the shape-shifting, alien thing, right? That makes it hard for them to get through there.
Yeah.
I think that there is, if you just listen to the chat logs, the chats on Among Us, okay? And I know you've played with like Grandpa Joe and Mallow and those guys. Like, it gets hilarious.
There have been entire games where I have, in order to not give myself up with social deduction, because sometimes I'm good at it and sometimes I'm not, I will be off of my microphone and I will just type egg in the chat. That's it.
That's it.
Anything, just the word egg.
Egg.
And it's surprisingly effective. And I could see a character in that show just egg, egg. There's so much comedic potential for this.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's going to be great.
Especially if they get a really good cast for an Among Us animated show.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, who?
Oh, there's so many. First off, there's so many good voice actors that people just don't even think about because they're just voice actors and you don't see them.
Yeah.
But you could really do just a lot with this. CBS, I would say it's going to probably go to Paramount Plus.
Probably.
And honestly, Paramount Plus has been getting a lot better. They have the #1 streaming show right now with Yellowstone.
Oh, yeah.
Yellowstone is huge. It's about to end. But a lot of their Star Trek stuff on Paramount Plus has been really good. Right. Star Trek Lower Decks has been widely hailed as being just super duper solid. And if it's the same animation studio that's doing Lower Decks, I think they've got a good leg up on this.
Dang.
And you can keep the animation style super simple, super easy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Animation is hard. Let me, as someone who does art, animation people, you're nuts. And thank you for your gift. I don't want to say it's easy.
No.
But it would be an easier thing to animate. It's not complicated shapes. You can stretch them and play with them like Play-Doh and bouncy balls. And
yes.
Yeah, there's so much potential there.
There is. Now, I don't know how long. I think this has got to be a limited series one. Because I don't know how long it can continue for.
Well,
I think this is perfect for like a 10 to 12 episode run and just, it's good.
You would think that, but kids love Among Us. I mean, adults love Among Us, but kiddos.
Do they do this as a kids show though? Because in spite of the fact that it's animated, Among Us is pretty bloody.
Yes, it is.
There's like bones sticking out of stuff and chopping of necks and things like that. Like it is not a non-violent video game. It's
true.
cartoony, but it's pretty graphic for as cartoony as it is.
Yeah, I guess it is. But then you're also like, I grew up with Ren and Stimpy, so I'm kind of like, my qualifications of what's okay for an animated kids show is a little different than maybe modern times. But I mean, maybe 10 to 12 episodes, but if kids are going nuts for it.
Yeah, this feels like it does feel like a very like teenagers. I think this is where this is aimed.
Yeah.
The 12 to 16 set, right? I think that's perfect for something like an Among Us show.
What's the over-under on Matt Mercer voicing a character?
35%.
With a cowboy hat on.
35%.
Okay.
Ren and Stimpy, I miss that show, and Invader Zim. I miss Invader Zim too. I was a big Invader Zim stan.
Will the voice actor for that?
For Zim or for
Zim?
For Robot
Gur. I mean, either really. Oh my gosh.
Again, there's so much potential with this. You could do so many silly things. I'm hoping it's really, really good. I think we've got a good shot at having a really fun show here. Mm-hmm. And I also think it might renew some interest in playing Among Us. Oh
yeah. I mean, I'm curious now. Go ahead and I'm going to Steam charts Among Us, even though it's not just on Steam.
I know they said on the Google Play Store during 2020 it was one of the top downloaded games.
There are 6,500 people playing on Steam alone right now.
Right now. It's still a popular game, and here's the thing: it's a good like palate cleanser kind of game, right? That you can just get a bunch of people together and play.
Yeah.
I do think that it works better if you've got a voice chat thingy like Discord or Ventrilo to use on the back end as opposed to just typing.
I can see so much comedic fodder if they were to be a little meta about it and introduce a voice chat like system. Say like they have their headsets inside their quote helmets.
TikTok just saying easier to get into than Jackbox. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
I would agree with that statement.
I mean, if you're on mobile, there's some server connection issues, but that's a while ago. I'm sure they've resolved that. But yeah, you just kind of plop in and go.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm excited for it.
This is a firmly solid idea. Good job,
idea.
CBS. And also, congrats to the Among Us crew because they put this game out in 2018 and it didn't do well.
No, not initially.
First 2 years it was out. First couple years it was out. It was not a super popular game. And again, the pandemic kind of like blew it up. And I think that it's really, really cool.
Well, they kind of talked about in the article too, because there was an interview, and one of the game designers and directors was like, we were totally burnt out. Because there was more content when it started taking off, and unexpectedly so. And I think that might be partially why it's just happening now that there's an animated show. Because as much as maybe they wanted to do it, the phone's ringing, and you're just like, it's so much stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, and I can definitely sympathize with that.
But congrats to them. Breathe new life into a game that is certainly not dead. So good for you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you think. We're excited for the Among Us animated show. It's time. This one deserves to be an animated show. All right.
In the office.
While we are moving on to our next topic, if you have any topics, questions, or comments that you would like us to talk about toward the tail end of the show, go ahead and drop those into the chat in either YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, wherever you're watching us. You can drop in there, and Producer Pete will grab them out and stick them in the rundown for our chat topics, and we do those right at the end of the show.
I promise I will.
So he does it every day. It's great, and sometimes y'all come up with some really, really great comments.
The Cult of the Lamb animated TikToks are great.
Yes.
I sent my friend the poop eating one, and it's so fun.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I thought it was a full animated series, but apparently it is not. Sad. Would love it. Well. Okay. Topic number 2 today is why you should listen to investor calls. Because on an investor call, we got the president of Nintendo saying, yes, there is a new console coming. Yes.
Yay! We're
Yes.
finally getting a replacement for the Switch.
They are conceptualizing it still, but yes.
The article here says it's important to note what he's not saying yet. One, we don't have a release date or an official name yet. Everybody's kind of calling it Switch 2. So I think everybody's thinking it's going to be the hybrid handheld home console again.
Yeah.
And then he also is not saying whether it's going to be backward compatible.
He's not saying. He said Nintendo accounts will be important. It will be, quote, essential moving forward, which would indicate that you should be able to keep your games. But if it is too much of a hardware departure from the Switch, then yeah, that might be kind of difficult because you can't just necessarily take a game and plop it onto a newer, updated system and it works fine. But I would love to see it.
Somebody's bringing up the OLED Switch. Now, is the OLED Switch hardware that much better than the standard Switch?
I looked at the specs comparison and not really. It still uses the same Tegra chip, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's the problem.
Someone please correct me. I was looking at some speculation in 2001. They're like, it'll be the OLED Switch and it'll be able to power 4K when it's docked. I'm like, well, it's a tablet, so probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not updating, the CPU, GPU, the onboard chip, then no, it won't.
So I don't think they need to go hard because, like, an Apple TV, for as small as that little brick is, its processor supports 4K, right? So you can put a 4K capable processor inside of a small package these days. Quite frankly, 4K is not that hard for them to achieve anymore.
Given the way that they do things, because they don't, so they cheat a little bit. When you're like, oh, this is so beautiful on the Switch, a lot of memory gets used up in textures on games typically. And if you look at like Zelda and Pokemon, the textures are pretty low resolution. If there are textures, lighting is what really does it, and lighting is what pushes graphics a lot and things like that. Plus everything's kind of polygonal a lot of the time. Polygonal, that's the word. So I could see it working out, but like we've talked about before, mobile processors and technology has gone so far since 2017 that easily I think they could keep it.
Somebody in YouTube chat saying most likely bigger screen and be foldable. I'm calling it now. I think a bigger screen is likely. I don't know how much bigger, because you got to remember the way that let's presume for a moment that the new Switch 2, right, is going to be roughly the same basic design as the current Switch, right? In that it will have the movable handles, removable handles. The handle size is actually pretty good for what they want for a handheld console, right? And for people that want, because I have one at home, for people that want something bigger for when they're docking, they've got the Switch Pro controller, right? Which is bigger, like it's chunkier, right?
Yeah.
So I can definitely see a bigger screen, but I don't think much bigger, because I don't think they're going to want to extend the size of the handles too much. The other thing is foldable, not happening.
That's kind of a support and hardware nightmare.
Well, it's a support and hardware nightmare. Now, here's the thing. I have yet to see a foldable screen that I cannot see the fold when it's fully extended.
They're getting there, but but also let's remember, kids. You're lucky that a Switch survives as it is with kids. A foldable screen, sand gets in there when you fold it. It's done, son. It's done. Yeah.
I absolutely think that it will be bigger. I think it'll be a better screen. I think it'll be good. I just can't see foldable.
I don't see foldable. Well, your cost increases significantly once you start doing that foldable, and that's, I say that, but Nintendo's always willing to just do new stuff. So that's pretty cool, and maybe they will, but the cost of that, because Nintendo's always tried to keep it $300 and below. With inflation being what it is, maybe they'll jump to $350, but foldable really makes that kind of tough.
$329 I could see. Right? I could see $329.99 or $324.99. Do I think they'll go back to the straight console? No. Nope. I think that, especially with now that Steam Deck is starting to get some good traction, and with them being basically the only handheld on the market besides the Steam Deck, right?
So
Vita's dead. There's the rumor about the new Sony one that's coming, right? But we don't have a lot of details on that yet. And it looks like you need a PS5 to even make it work. So if we're talking about straight handheld, I can just pack this in my bag, get on an airplane and play.
Yep.
It's them and the Steam Deck right now.
So to put it this way, so Nintendo is not just an American company, they are a Japanese company. Handhelds are a huge part of Japanese gaming culture. Here's the thing. Do you want to take a guess what 2 of the top 3 selling consoles of all time are?
It's the Switch.
Yep, number 3.
The 3DS.
The Nintendo DS is number 2.
Yeah.
Selling now 30 million more than the Switch.
Yeah.
And that's not counting the 3DS. It's in its own category.
And number 1 is the
million.
Wii.
Number 1 is the PlayStation 2.
Oh, PlayStation 2. That's right.
But if you take, so the Nintendo DS, the original, is only 1 million behind the PlayStation 2, the top selling of all time. Now, if you add in the 3DS, that adds another.
And the 2DS.
And the 2DS. I'll scroll down. That one wasn't super. Let's just do the 3DS and the DS. If you add in the 75 million from the 3DS, just to the most popular DS ones, you end up with, how many sales is this? 230 million sold.
Units.
And then the PlayStation 2 is number 1 with 155.
And from a software perspective, because the DS and the 3DS were compatible,
yes,
right? You know, when you were developing games for the DS level consoles.
Yeah. Do you want to take a guess what number 4 is? No surprise. Game Boy and Game Boy Color. The top 3 of the top 4 are handhelds made by Nintendo. I don't think they're going back.
No, absolutely not.
The 5000 DS.
There is no way Nintendo's going to want to do it. They just. And here's the thing: with the way the Switch is working, it's a home console too, right? That's the thing. Is like, and I've played a lot of Switch games on the TV, right? It doesn't lose anything being played on the television.
No, it'll go up to 1080p when you dock it, and it's nice.
You know, it's, it is the thing,
Nintendo has for a while now, since 2000, since the Wii, really, so 2005, 2006, they have sacrificed being at the cutting edge of resolution for playability. There were some complaints about the Wii when it came out. They're like, it's only 480p, but that was the cost of doing motion controls, because the 360 would do 720. And everybody's like, I don't know about all this, but it worked out for them. The Wii sold very well. And people were like, with the Switch, were like, well, it goes up to 1080p if it's docked, and 720 whenever it's a handheld. Clearly, it worked out for them. It's a functionality over resolution.
Well, and here's again, 720p, when you're holding it in front of your face, is good enough. Yeah. You don't need better resolution than that. And especially, this also comes down to the style of games they tend to put on the Switch, right? It's Mario. It's Mario Kart. It's Pokemon. It's stuff that's not... You're not going for photorealistic Cyberpunk 2077 level of graphics.
Yep. And I mean, even so, given the power that they have, if you think about it...
Lies, I need 16 million K resolution.
Hey, Necrotier. If you think about it, they have enough muscle where they're like, no, these third-party titles, you're going to make it to where it visually downgrades so that it can be on our console so you can get those sales.
Yes.
We don't need to make a high-res console for your game because you are coming to us. Or the thing, you need us, we don't need you.
Yeah, that's why, and Nintendo's kind of in the lock stock position. Like they're in.
One thing that I was reading about that Nintendo Switch or the new console thing is the PS5 now, right? As of April 2023, sales. The PS5 is equal to the Switch sales. They're like neck and neck, and the Switch is in its 7th year.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the next topic.
Yeah, and it kind of bleeds over. But
yeah,
fascinating.
I'm glad that they're finally doing it. I'm glad we're finally getting some stinking confirmation that it is coming.
And please, Nintendo, please let us keep our games.
Here's the thing, actually, and that could be the next thing we talk about. I think that they will do everything in their power to make it backwards compatible, if at all possible, with the new architecture.
That was a big selling point for the Wii, being able to play GameCube games.
The Wii U could play Wii games.
Big deal.
Yep.
Big deal.
Unless you run across the console snobs whose system's dead unless it runs 60 FPS. And here's the thing, some stuff does run at super high res. Smash Brothers is a good example, right?
Yes.
To where, like, we hold a lot of Smash Brothers tournaments here. And I will tell you, the Smash Ultimate players, when we were upgrading and adding more console stations and more monitors, that was one of the big things that they were, like, hammering us on is make sure that you're getting the monitors that can handle the frame rate that Smash and the refresh, because those adjustments need to be made very quickly with things like FGC, like with
when
fighting
you're
games.
running like eSports and FGC tournaments, like frame rate and fluidity is very important. I could go into personal stuff. I am not a tournament player, but given like just if there's a drastic change in frame rate or visuals, my eyes are getting old, and if there's a sudden hitch, it throws my brain off for a couple seconds.
And it's not just about the eyes getting old. It's. I mean, I think we've all had that thingy where it's like you have a sudden massive frame rate, just, and then, well, I just died, right? Even in a first-person game, because you're like, what? Because it throws off your entire flow.
It happened with Tears of the Kingdom, actually. I went into an area that was really tough, had a lot of monsters, and it started chugging down to like 12 and 15 frames. I couldn't hit fast enough, and I died, and I was like, well, I was going to get my butt handed to me, but I'm going to blame the frame rate on that one.
The only thing that I think they can improve, too, about the home side of it is the dock is literally just a piece of plastic. It's literally just a connector. There's nothing to the dock. And I was looking at this the other day because I was watching a video about how Nintendo was the first one with the cartridges to add additional processors inside the cartridge, so that even when the Super Nintendo was running up against its limit on what its hardware was capable of, you could jack in extra processors, graphics processors, inside the cartridge itself, and that was how they increased the performance of the Super Nintendo. One of the things I'd like to see them do with the dock is, again, if you look at it, the dock is basically, you got the connector at the bottom, the USB-C connector that you set it in, and all that is basically just connecting to an HDMI out and a power cable, right?
Pretty much.
That's it. It's a straight through line into your TV. There is no chips in there to upscale or do anything better with the graphical quality. So one of the things they could do is they could add, and again, there's precedent for this with, again, what they did with the Super Nintendo. Right? Is we're going to add a little extra bump of processing power for the visual, with using the dock itself.
You know how they would do that since it's Nintendo, right? Dock and Dock Pro.
Yeah.
They'd sell two different versions.
And that's fine. And that way, if you want the extra boost, you can get it. This to me is reasonable because it's almost like PCs. Look, you can run most PC games on a 10 series freaking graphics card, right? Right now.
Yes, having one, yes.
Right? You can run most of them. Maybe not at max settings, but you can run them, right? See, and somebody in the chat's already like, I'd go buy a Dock Pro. The people who want better performance, they buy parts to put in their PC that makes the performance better. They, PlayStation 5. People buy the specially formatted freaking hard drives to jam into their PS5 to increase the amount of space that they've got, so they don't have to delete a bunch of games.
Now, I will say, if they're open about it, if it's up front, I'm fine with it. However, whenever I bought my Switch, the handles that it slides into, I had the understanding that, like most things, you'd have a port where you could plug in your Joy-Cons to charge them. No. You had to buy an extra Joy-Con little sitter thing that had that port.
We have one out,
I was very frustrated whenever I found out that I had to stop gaming, and then kerplunk. Okay. Either pick it up in game so they can charge my Joy-Cons, or I have to go buy a $70 Pro controller. I would have been less upset had I known that, had they been pretty open about it out
Mhm.
front. It's not like they were hiding it necessarily. It wasn't,
Um,
weren't open about it.
So I think the reason the dock increases performance slightly is because it turns off the main display. So what it's able to do is it's able to reroute that processing power from the main display on your thingy into that, because the dock itself doesn't have anything in it.
The way it was explained to me is that it's providing external electricity, so
That
it's
too.
not just draining that battery. So you're able to essentially like overclock the chip in it.
Yeah. And again, it's not running the screen. When you put it in the dock, the screen itself turns off. So it's not trying to project
Yeah.
that stuff. It's literally just sending it to your TV. Yeah, see, Nintendo needs to create a better charging option for the Joy-Cons. I'll be honest, in dock mode, I am not a fan of the Joy-Cons, and I'm not a fan of the Joy-Cons even in the little like external thingy they have. I just don't love them. I have a Pro controller at the house.
Oh, Pro controller's definitely superior.
Yeah, I mean
It is. Taylor bought one, and I was like, well, let's see. And I held it, and I was like, this is almost perfect. Now, also, it's the same issue I had with the DS.
Mm-hmm.
The Joy-Cons are so thin that my mitts, after an hour, start getting real sore. I played it on a plane for 3 hours, and I was like, whew, I had to stretch out my hands after. I was like, this is tough because I'm squeezing to hold it into place, kind of.
Yes.
So that it doesn't fall. So I mean,
I think that happens with anybody with adult hands.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
that can be solved by having a silicone casing or whatever. But
And I know they make the Joy-Cons with the extra chunk to them on the back. We have some out here that are only for in handheld mode. So you can get thicker brace, like third-party stuff.
Switch is 8 years old technology.
And that's why it's good that they're finally stating out there that the new console is coming.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't see in the article, I don't know if you saw it, is
What?
When?
Not this year. They said not this year.
I know they said not this year, but
no, he's asked us to be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 2023, so we think in 2025. Oh, you know what? Probably holiday season next year. That's a year and some change
I'd be
away
willing
from
to
now.
bet. Although if they're still doing concepts right now, you gotta come up with a production process for that, and rolling out production for stuff like that can be kind of tough.
Yeah.
But we don't know what 2029. God, I hope not.
6 more years
No,
before
I
we
would
get-
say
no.
holiday of 2024 at the earliest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at least we're getting some communication.
At
right?
least it's coming. So anyway, let us what y'all want think about that. Nintendo's getting a new console.
Sucky.
I'm happy for them. So, all right.
Asked us to be patient for Metroid Prime 4.
Before we get into our next topic, if there's anything you want us to talk about, anything you saw on the news or on the Twitters or the Facebooks or the TikToks that you would like us to talk about, go ahead and drop it into one of the chats, either YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok, and we will put it into the chat topics, and we'll talk about it at the end of the show.
You know what? Point was made in chat before we get on there about needing cheaper processors. That's probably a good point, and why they haven't done the Switch Pro or the second Switch is because of the chip shortage. If they want to keep that cost down, I could see them being like,
Yeah,
no,
well,
no.
I mean, it's not even cheaper. It's just there's just not enough.
Yeah.
And Nintendo is not going to come to market. Nintendo is the only one of the 3 console manufacturers that I trust to ensure there is a significant enough supply at launch where you don't have the scalper problem, because Nintendo does not want that PR nightmare. Sony and Microsoft will shrug it off. They'll be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care.
In a way, they started it with the Wii, but I haven't really seen it since. The Wii was one of those, like, for a year you were calling a store and hoping that they were there.
Yeah, but I don't think then it was a scalper issue.
No. That was they just couldn't make them fast enough.
Yeah. They need to make the Russian coup into a map in Tarkov. I mean, you shoot 3 bullets and then it'd be over. And then they would just show like a cutscene of you going to Belarus.
Just walk towards the capital and they'd be like, okay.
Go this way a little ways, and then no, I guess we're done now. All right. So again, if you have any topics you want us to talk about at the end of the show, dump them down in the chat, and we're gonna move on to our thing and staying with consoles.
Yes.
And staying with topics that we have talked about a bunch of times, the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. In a filing that came out about 5 days ago, Microsoft basically said, look, we've lost the console war since 2001. Yep. We've never won the console war. We have always been behind Sony and Nintendo. And they say what percentage of the market that they estimate their stuff at. And it's like 16 to 21%, depending on the area that they're talking about.
Yep.
It is consistently ranked third of three behind PlayStation and Nintendo. In 2021, Xbox had 16% of the total market. Leaving 84% up for grabs, and we talked about this, PlayStation and Nintendo are basically neck and neck. So they've basically each got 40-something% of the market, while Xbox has bupkis.
I just find it funny that they said, quote, this is in a document.
Court filing,
the FTC. They want this deal to go through so bad that they're just openly like, we've been getting our asses kicked. Listen, they use the word dominate. Quote, Xbox has lost the console wars and its rivals are positioned to continue to dominate, including by leveraging exclusive content. You admitted that your competition is dominating you.
Yep.
In a court filing because you want this deal to go through so bad.
And confirming what a lot of us have kind of known for a long time. Having lost the console wars, Xbox is betting on a different strategy than Sony. Xbox generates its profits through game sales and Game Pass, not console sales. That's because Xbox sells its consoles at a loss, subsidizing the purchase of the hardware in hopes of making up lost revenue through sales of games and accessories. And again, specifically because of what's it called? Game Pass and the software they're selling.
Oh, yeah. Game Pass is like $0.25 a month or something like that they make.
Yeah.
In subscriptions.
And here's the thing, it's not a bad solution.
It's a great deal. Listen, for the Xbox Series S, I'm saying for $300, very capable console.
It's not a bad console.
Pretty good value. Small, looks good in your entertainment center. It's not overly engineered on the outside like the
PS5,
the Transformer PS5.
Oh my God!
It's a good price for something that works really well.
I've been fiddling with a Series X. I borrowed one of the Series X's from the shop. I took it home because I was fiddling with it. The Series X is a solid console, and actually, I'll be honest. It really is. It's games. They're right. It's games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they started doing that from the very beginning, right? With the original Xbox, they said that they took like $100 hit every time someone bought one. They sold a $100 loss. Worked out for them.
But I don't think the Series X. I'm trying to think. This is the first generation. I'm trying to think back because I'm thinking of the Xbox One.
Yeah.
There's not really a killer app for the Series X. There's just not. I mean, every console manufacturer is looking for that killer app, right? Like, what is the...
I think they thought Halo Infinite would be it.
I think they thought Halo 5 was going to be it.
Yeah.
And they screwed that up.
I mean, Infinite's fun, but there's no point where I'm like, this would have been great on a Series X instead of an S or instead of my PC.
Killer Instinct would be a good game to release during all the hype for fighting games. I think Killer Instinct would be great. Doesn't Microsoft own Rare? I think they own Rare.
They do. Killer Instinct has been free to play since the Xbox One, early Xbox One, maybe late 360 days. I remember it came up because I used to love Killer Instinct on the SNES. And I was like,
somebody's in the chat going, what's that pirate game that's Xbox exclusive? That's my point.
See if it's fun, but...
That's my point, we don't even know. Like, there's just no great apps right now. There is nothing. So there is at every stage an app that there's a game I'm going to go buy a PS5 for.
Yeah.
At some point. I am really close with Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
Kingdom Hearts will be it for me. Kingdom Hearts 4,
You and
for
Kingdom
sure,
Hearts.
will be the one that I buy. And
Is that exclusive to the PlayStation?
it will be. It will be.
Come on, brother. Why? Okay.
They're banking on Starfield to be that number one.
Yep.
You know, I 1000% agree with you. I also think it's why it's going to be on Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to play it for free on Game Pass.
I mean, I started getting Game Pass originally to try Sea of Thieves because I didn't want to spend $60.
Mm-hmm.
It was whenever they're like, get it for $1, and I did, and I was like, yeah, okay, but also I don't like recurring bills.
Yeah.
But hey.
I bet the Steam Deck is outselling Xbox month to month. Right now, probably. I don't think it'll
Ooh.
catch up.
I'm gonna Google that though.
Insomniac's Wolverine, that'll be I think that is a PS5 exclusive too. Yeah. So Xbox, I mean, Microsoft's telling us basically what everybody already knew. They're not giving us really new information. They are confirming a lot of what everybody kind of knew. And somebody else in the chat brought up too, like Microsoft has always been more of a software company than a hardware company. Windows Phone, Zune.
Rip.
Oh
Man.
You know, and it really is like.
FYI, no, the Steam Deck is not outselling. As of April, it sold 3 million.
Oh yeah, so it's not even close.
And the Xbox has sold like 20 million.
21, yeah.
Something like that. So, yeah. A good thought, though.
It would be better to do Game Pass streaming. Now, here's the thing. We've talked about this on the show a bunch of times. Game Pass, because it applies to PC as well, I think that's one of the reasons they're doing the thing. And again, Xbox doesn't really have exclusives because everything that's an Xbox exclusive also comes to PC.
Correction.
What?
21 million is the total sold. Year to date, as of June, Xbox Series XS sold approximately 1.89 million units this year, or year to date.
Year to date.
And then the Steam Deck sold 3 million. So Steam Deck is beating the Xbox.
This year.
This year. It's still new, but yes. No, not 20 mil a month. That was as soon as I said that, I was like, no.
They've sold 21 million total.
Yeah.
Microsoft is going to develop the first AI MMO with ChatGPT as the engine with Bethesda. I freaking hope not. I really.
You see this face?
Yeah, I do see that face. I think it's dangerous. I think it's super dangerous.
We need to get off AI's dick right now. Sorry, I know I shouldn't have phrased it that way.
No.
Like, it's new and flashy and everything, and I get that it is inevitable, but I think we need to stop being like, it's our savior, like 6 months after it comes out mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Michio Kaku made a good point. He's like, it doesn't do anything. It just slices things up. It does without actually knowing whether it's true or false and just throws it out there. Like, you don't know if it's correct or not.
It's still, the thing is we're talking about AI, and without realizing that this is still type 2 AI, right? Yeah. And it's not even highly advanced type 2 AI. It's very, he wants Skynet. That's how you get Skynet. Yeah, that is how you get Skynet.
They haven't released it in Japan yet. The Steam Deck? Or?
I'm not sure.
Well,
give us some more context there, chat.
More info, Masaki.
Yeah.
Please. That would be interesting to see how the Steam Deck does in Japan.
Now, here's the question. Because of the context in which we got this information, which is the FTC filing, do you think this was the right move for them to make? To be like, look, we're doing this because we suck. Because they're basically trying to convince the FTC this is not monopolistic practices. This is not anti-competition. We're doing this because we suck.
I don't think it's bad. I mean, I think they're just saying what everybody kind of knows.
But I mean, like, in the context of, do you think it's going to move the FTC? Where the FTC is going to be like, okay, fair enough. You suck at everything. So go ahead and buy Activision.
I don't know. Like, given this whole back and forth that's happened, and the FTC being, or what was it? Some mudslinging being thrown back and forth. Like, they have exclusives. No, they have exclusives. And the Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other. And the FTC is like, huh? What? Who? And it seems like they'll just kind of believe whatever initially. So for Xbox to be like, we really fucking suck, and FTC being like, wow, really? You're gonna say that out loud? You must really suck. They might just be like, well, in that case, sure, I guess. But here's the thing, like, I'm not saying that Xbox or Microsoft sucks, but like, not lying. They're just putting words to the facts that exist, although very harsh words like dominate in an FTC filing.
FTC is going to wear down and say yes. I almost want to agree with you, but again, you got to remember, like, Microsoft is the one company that's had major antitrust action taken against them in the last 35 years, right?
True.
They freaking beat Microsoft down before.
Well, these things are
You're talking about an industry that is 5 times the size of the music industry.
Yes.
You're talking about an industry that is twice the size of the film industry, at least.
Right.
These are big, big industries. Now, the upside is with mobile, with PC, with a lot of different things. There is a lot of platforms to release video games to.
Yep.
Right? There are a lot of ways you can release video games. And then on PC, there's the Epic Games Store, there's GOG, there's Steam, there's... So Microsoft buying Activision,
yeah,
right? I mean, it stops COD, possibly. Now, Microsoft said they're not going to, but it could stop COD from coming out on other platforms besides PC and Xbox. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? Because PlayStation players, like, all right, cool, we're just going to go build a first-person shooter that's better than COD for PlayStation.
I mean,
look what they did with Titanfall and Apex Legends and Overwatch. Like,
those are drops in the bucket compared to COD. Apex has staying power, yeah, but it's not nearly what COD is. And Phil Spencer was open about it too. He's like, listen, the idea that COD players who are primarily PlayStation are just gonna move over to the console because it's exclusive. He's like, that's not gonna happen. I think he was being genuine when he said that. Like, I think he does have an understanding of the landscape and like gamers' tendencies. Like, I think he, as much as he would like for them to move over, I think he's realistic of just like, that's not gonna happen.
Mm-mm.
Like, nobody's gonna spend $500 to go play a specific game. Not nobody, but not a significant portion.
And COD's not going to be that kind of killer app.
But maybe that's me being naive and hoping for honesty in somebody. But to come out and be like, we get our ass kicked, like,
every time.
There takes a certain amount of humility to go in front of people and say that. So, I don't know. What was this about? Oh, them losing.
Losing the console war. It's all there.
It's such a messy topic, really. I was going to ask you. So with the FTC filing, my question is about human bias. You said that they've had a lot of stuff levied against them before. Do they look at this in a vacuum? And legally, they're supposed to.
No, they're not supposed to.
Really?
No, because this is a civil case, not criminal.
Okay.
Right? And
Ooh.
they look at it in the greater concept. Words are hard. In the greater context of Microsoft's business dealings since their inception.
Yeah.
Right? If the FTC's opinion is that Microsoft routinely engages in anti-competitive behavior from a business standpoint in violation of FTC policy, of FTC regulation, then no, they absolutely can use past, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, prior bad acts, right, and company history as that. Now, a lot of people would argue, and again, you can argue both sides of it, like, that was under Bill, right? Yeah. And Bill is not the CEO of Microsoft anymore.
Yeah.
He is not involved at Microsoft. Paul Allen's not at Microsoft. None of these guys are at Microsoft anymore because Paul Allen's dead and Bill Gates is off, doing whatever Bill Gates is doing.
Whatever.
Right?
Bill stuff.
Trying to spend as much money as he can because he's got too much, right? And they're run by Satya Nadella now, right?
Yeah.
And it's a different regime, and it's a different company. So, again, you can argue it both ways.
Also, I want to know, all right.
I'm generally against corporate consolidations just in principle.
Yeah. I mean, I'm torn, like, as a gamer, short term, cool, this deal. 10 years down the road, once all those whatevers expire that get them this deal, does it become a hellscape? But also, okay, so if the FTC, if the people looking at this, the people in the FTC are looking at this and they're not gamers, right? How do you look at something, a $69 billion deal, and somebody's like, we suck? Like, $69 billion is a lot of money to be able to pony up for somebody who sucks. And they have to, show what
But
the
what they're going to
financials
say
are.
is, we suck at video games right now. Look at all this other stuff that we do really well. And here's the thing. You can definitively argue that Microsoft has effective monopolies in a lot of different industries, right? Mm-hmm. They are still the #1 platform for personal computers.
Yeah.
Full stop. And no one's even close.
But then you look at, let's just take Game Pass, right? $250 million a month in subscriptions. And they could be like, this is what is considered sucking? This is a lot of money.
So, Necrontier, to correct you, that was the FCC, not the FTC.
Yeah.
It's not the FTC. They didn't have anything to do with the internet, the net neutrality stuff. Federal Trade Commission regulates trade and corporations, stuff like that. Different one.
Can I also say I am surprised that our government being what it is with corruption now, I am surprised that the FTC is like, well, no. This is a deal that I would just assume with the U.S. government, they'd be like,
no, not
right on through.
No, because occasionally you've got to, and you can kind of see it with some of the court rulings from this morning, which we're not going to go into because that's not what we do on this channel. They're going to let some through, but they have to at least put up a fight occasionally, especially when it's glaring them in the face. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, what the FTC is saying is we don't want this deal to go through because we think that if you do this, you're going to engage in anti-competitive behavior that is going to materially hurt your competitors. Right?
Yeah.
That's the argument. Full stop. Right? And if you believe that Microsoft is going to do that at some point, right? And again, somebody's going to...
This is complicated.
This is very, very complicated.
We also have to compartmentalize between becoming a
political
discussion channel.
We're trying really hard not to do that. Minecraft, yes, they're owned by Microsoft. Microsoft bought Mojang.
That's a great investment.
It was.
Yeah.
Now, you can't. Minecraft is not limited to the Xbox and PC. I think they only have Age of Empires and Flight Simulators. Lol. Microsoft has actually done what a lot of the console manufacturers has done, which is we're going to buy this studio.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft bought Bungie.
Yep.
And then eventually they were like, yeah, we don't want to own Bungie anymore. And they spin Bungie off. Then there's 343. And Sony's done the same thing. Nintendo's done the same thing, where they will buy studios and then be like, all right, we're going to hold on to this for a few years and then goodbye. Yeah. See you later. Again, I'm generally against corporate consolidation. I think they only have Age of Empires and Flight Simulator. I think they own more than that. So through their acquisitions, they own more IP than that. Now, that's the other argument to make here in favor of bad Microsoft no, is when they buy things like Rare, or they buy things like Activision, if they, that allows them to basically stop IPs in their tracks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why aren't we getting a new killer? They can be like, no, we just don't want to develop it. Yeah, we know we own the IP and we know it would be popular, but we don't care. We just don't want to do it.
Don't sleep on Microsoft Flight Simulator, by the way.
Dude, I see so many TikToks of Flight Simulator. Some people love that game.
It's a big industry. Just a quick Googling. In August of 2020, there was an article that was saying that it's expected to generate roughly $3 billion in hardware sales over 3 years. So.
Dude, hardcore Flight Simulator.
$1 billion a year, man, in hardware. That's nuts.
All right, Microsoft Studios. Xbox Game Studios from the Microsoft games. To have stuff going all the way back to 79. Golf. Again, there's a lot of stuff that they're just like, we don't make this anymore. Minesweeper's in there.
Minesweeper.
I'm trying to get it there. So yes, Age of Empires. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, yeah, they're never going to make that again. Urban Assault. God, I forgot about that game. More Age of Empires, baseball, flight simulator, soccer.
I mean, they did, what was it, about 10 years ago? Or the last 10 years. They just they bought up a lot of indie studios.
Yes.
Which, fine. Yeah, I don't... Here's my question. Can they recoup a $69 billion purchase? Is Blizzard worth $69 billion, or Activision?
Probably.
I mean, just...
So you're looking at that, you're looking at something like a 10 to 15 year ROI. How much do they make on World of Warcraft right now? Again, that's the other thing too. And we talked about this, so go back and watch the YouTube because we talked about, and get us some views, and don't forget to thumbs up us on the YouTubes and subscribe there. So Activision owns King Games, right? And we talked about this on YouTube the other day. Mobile is the biggest chunk of the video game market, full stop, by a factor of what, 3? Right? Yeah. Yeah, again, just with mobile. And God knows how much they're making on World of Warcraft right now.
So,
Ninja Gaiden, okay.
World of Warcraft revenue.
Fable.
Yeah, true. World of Warcraft revenue over $14 billion from 2004 to 2022.
So that averages about $700-800 million a year.
Yeah, that's true. Candy Crush.
Telling you.
All right. Kick. No kick. No kick. Oh, God.
Yeah, Candy Crush alone makes it worth it to them. Absolutely it does. Yep. They own King Games. That's what it's all about. And that's the funny thing about the FTC filings, is really, to me, the irony of it is the one thing they're not talking about. The one thing Sony didn't attack. The one thing that nobody's talked about is how big this is going to be in the mobile gaming market for Microsoft.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
All the free media hype.
Yeah.
I don't
OnlyPans.
I guess.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. All right, so that'll wrap up that topic for today. Again, if you have anything else, we'll go a few more minutes. If you have any topics you want to talk about, anything you guys saw in the news, on the Twitters, Facebooks, TikToks, all the things, if there's anything you want us to chat about today, let us know. Drop those in the comments right now, and we'll see if we can get them. Somebody did ask earlier, what is the best way people can support the store, the show, buying product, coming to events, signing up for memberships? All of the above.
Whatever's best value for you.
So we do this to provide value in different ways. Signing up for memberships is always helpful. Buying product is always helpful. Coming to events. Really, it's a lot of it too is helping us reach out to other people in the community. So sharing it on your social media, sharing YouTube videos, sharing stuff, which helps us on the show side with the algorithm, the magic algorithm. So if you guys tweet out links to our show, to the YouTube channel, to that stuff, that's helpful. What is the best way people can support store? Yeah, buying product. Coming in, yeah, going into our Facebook and following us. Coming in is the best way. Coming in and buying stuff and just being around at memberships is the best way to do it. But again, sharing to your own Facebook pages, to Discord servers and things like that really helps out. Bits also help us out.
Thanks.
Thank you, Necron.
Appreciate it, bud.
What news sources do you all watch to learn this stuff? So I check 4 or 5 daily. On top of the, like, I just scroll through Twitter in the morning to see, and I hit the trending tab just to see what's out there.
Thanks, Necrotier.
Yep.
Jeez,
Thank you
dude.
very much. I read IO9, Kotaku, IGN, news.google.com, and I hit the technology and the entertainment tabs under news.google.com, and then I check Apple News every morning. It takes me about an hour in the morning to kind of go over that. And then there's a couple of news shows on YouTube that I watch while I'm like making breakfast for my kid.
Yeah.
Um,
You're like a bloodhound with it. You seek it out. I let Google push notifications and Twitter push notifications come to me, so I'm more like a basset hound. I'll lay there and let it come to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
For shows like this, when I was doing Identico After Dark, it's a lot of that. It's just kind of keeping up on what's happening. For me, it's fun. Like, I enjoy this stuff. Like, it is entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
I love the tech space. I love business. I love politics. I love all of it, right? And then add that to the fact that this is all just very words.
Words.
That was a lot really fast. So IO9, Kotaku, IGN, news.google.com, and then specifically the entertainment and technology tabs, and then Apple News on my phone.
There you go. I tend to look at Kotaku, Games Radar. The Verge has been getting more and more into gaming over the last few years. Those are the three main ones I look at. I mean, they tend to typically have stuff like in reporting that I kind of trust. Like Kotaku breaks a lot of things. They get a lot of exclusive stuff. And sometimes, like with all news, if you churn out enough news, you'll have some misfires, and that's happened. That's happened a lot of places.
I occasionally check Polygon.
Yeah.
And they're starting to lean more toward tabletop, so they're getting a lot more tabletop stuff, and I don't know why. And then, so specifically, that's where I start, Dog Dad. And actually, if you're looking for it, if it's entertainment stuff, I will run it past a couple of different sites. If I don't see it reported, for example, entertainment news, like movies, stuff like that, if I don't see it reported in Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, I question it.
Fair.
Because there is, especially with entertainment news, there is so many people who are like, I have a source that says James Gunn's going to be fired because The Flash bombed. Like,
yep. Sir, you have no make. It's a good point. After that PC build video, I would never trust The Verge.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there's some things where I point and I look at it, I'm like, oh, honey. But hey.
Yeah. So for again, I highly, highly recommend, especially if you get a lot of stuff from social media like Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, triple check sources. Triple check sources. Do you think Netflix's new series Avatar: The Airbender is going to be good? I honestly don't know.
Is it animated or live action?
It's live action.
It's gonna suck. Sorry, that was really off the cuff. I don't. Who's involved? I guess.
Tough to say. Really tough to say. What do I think about media apps making everything more exclusive? It's unsurprising. It's exceedingly unsurprising. Like it's basically did that. Yes, I'm not going to say his name on the stream, but it's in the chat right now. Basically, if I see that, he's wrong 98 times out of 100. I think he's been right twice. A busted clock is right twice a day. Yeah. We end up paying more now for all apps instead of paying for cable. And that's if you have all of them. I don't even have all of them. And I keep up on most of this stuff. And there are also some apps that I will turn on and turn off periodically.
You know, the Avatar thing, I think it might be good. One of the executive producers was like the Lego movie.
Okay.
Lilo and Stitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it has a chance, but it's going to get panned like any. Avatar, it has equal love and fandom to anime, and anime live action adaptations just get crapped on. And so I think that's going to happen.
I need an app to manage my media apps. Here's the funny thing is, depending on what ecosystem you're in, it's easier or harder. Like, the one nice thing I will say about the way that Apple's system functions, right, is because I use Apple TV for all of my streaming, like that's the piece of hardware I use is Apple TV. And because I have an Apple phone, and because those accounts are linked, right? All my passwords, all my stuff, my media stuff just kind of floats between the two seamlessly, right? I'm also able to, if I'm just sitting on my phone and I'm like watching something, because I have Apple TV, I can just shoot it from my phone and be like, hey, Apple TV, play this thing. And the Apple TV will be like, oh, you're playing that on your phone? Now I will move it to your television. Here you go. And it's just, Apple
cool.
may be evil, but Apple is really good at making stuff really simple.
A little less evil than you think in comparison.
Their ability to build a good user experience is really solid. And it's something that Apple focuses on very heavily, right? Like sometimes I think Microsoft does stuff to just be painful just because they're like, we like it. We like to make you have pain, right? As anybody who uses Microsoft Office knows, right? Microsoft Office could be 5 times easier to use than it is.
Yeah. I mean, they give it a facelift often as part of the problem, but
yes,
it's a necessity in a way. But
it is.
Also,
Every Apple I've had phone-wise, I'd say has custom ringtones. Not simple. I actually haven't tried to do a custom ringtone in a long time.
I just keep my phone on silent always.
Yeah. So as far as apps to manage my media apps, I really love my Apple TV. I use it all the time.
I use Google TV.
I had a Chromecast. I had the first Chromecast, actually. When they first came out with Chromecast, I bought a Chromecast. And the first Chromecast was hot garbage. And then they finally improved the user interface for Chromecast, right? And then for the Chromecast, because remember, the first Chromecast were the sticks.
Yeah.
Right? Then they do that. And then our Chromecast broke. Like, it just died.
It's what happens.
The chip just shorted out, and we're like, well,
they're good for anything like that's a year.
Yep. So when we stopped with the Chromecast, this was when we were still living down in Seattle. I did for a while do a Fire TV stick.
Yeah.
And I had the Fire TV stick. In fact, I think I still have one floating around the house somewhere. We're actually in random, so nobody's illusion. If you would like to drop a topic in there, I'm going to go probably about another 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to call it for the day because we started a little late, so we'll do that. Yeah, we're talking about all the apps to manage your apps, which is what we all need now is an app to manage our apps. Help me manage all the things. So I've tried just about every one of the Fire TV stick I liked for a while because it's pretty intuitive.
They're easily jailbroken. They're great for aftermarket stuff.
Are you talking about the new FNAF movie trailer? Because if they have a new FNAF movie trailer, I'm just an old-timey Nokia phone and no TV. It feels freeing. I mean, it probably is. Did they just come out with a new one? I haven't seen it.
Let me see.
New FNAF trailer.
5 hours ago, Universal Pictures.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to take a look at this. I will look at it. We'll probably talk about it tomorrow. Because actually, FNAF's a big property, and I'm really curious what they're going to do. And I'm sure Matt Pat from Game Theory is losing his ever-loving mind because, it's going to change the canon, and it's going to freak everybody out.
Here's my question. Is there a cameo with Markiplier? Because if there's not, wasted.
No, I don't think he'll be in there.
He should.
He should. How are you going to talk about One Piece anime breaking the internet if you aren't caught up by July 21, 22? That's a very good question.
Yeah, Uru. It's on the Universal Pictures YouTube channel is where the trailer came out.
So yeah, there is a new one. So good for them.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will chat about it tomorrow. I'll take a look at it after the show. Please don't watch it because you'll hate it. Yeah.
Oh, now I want to see the one with no effects.
That's going to be funny.
That would be great.
I'm sure they're building it as a franchise builder, so I'm curious what they're going to do at the end, right? And I'm curious how they're going to put this all together. Is it shot first? I have to look at it. So I will look at the new FNAF trailer though. The Barbie one. Somebody talked about Barbie a little while ago. Again, one of my most anticipated of the year. They put a Barbie dream house in Malibu this week.
Okay.
And I saw somebody quote tweet it. They were like, because they built a Barbie dream house in Malibu for people to promote the Barbie movie. And somebody was like, the Oppenheimer movie has such an opportunity for some interesting marketing here. I about died. I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh no.
The internet is brutal at times.
What's the correct order of the first 7 FNAF games? Dude, I'm not going to touch that. I have watched, because I like game theory, and I have caught up on all that. I think he's got 40 videos on just FNAF.
Yeah. FNAF is content generation, for sure.
And, dude, he's done so much on FNAF that I wouldn't even try and touch. There are some really good FNAF channels out there, like FNAF, and specifically FNAF theory channels.
Yeah.
There's some really cool FNAF stuff out there.
If you want, I'm going to mention a channel. If you really want to know, like, the FNAF lore and everything, told kind of like just A to Z, there's a channel I watch called Wendigoon. Mm-hmm. And it's about an hour long or so, I would say. But yeah, if you like my accent, you should go watch his explanations of things.
Yeah, MatPat gets a free pass because despite being wrong time and time again, before they were all out, it was pretty much impossible to piece together. So I think the other reason it's impossible is Scott Cawthon went into FNAF to make a game.
That's why he said, that's just a theory.
Yeah. But the other thing is, Scott Cawthon was like, I made a game. And then it blew up, and he was like, oh, I guess I should do some story. And so I think that the problem is he retroactively went back and went, oh, I actually have to put a story into this thing, right? I don't think it was meant to be what FNAF has become.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think Scott Cawthon can barely keep track of what's happening in his own dang video games, let alone MatPat. How many Final Fantasy games and movies are there? Games? Probably 20 some
numbered ones, but
there's more than that.
Double that now. Are we counting like theater vision or theater, whatever it is, like rhythm games? Like just Final Fantasy properties?
How many Final Fantasy games are 16 numbered?
Theater rhythm, that's the one I'm thinking of. It was fun.
Complete game list, the Final Fantasy.
You listen to Wendigoon while driving? I will say it was very refreshing to see someone with my accent talking at my pace be successful on YouTube. Rarity. It was nice.
17, 18, 19... 18, 19,
There's times, but I only count the original 7 as canon. That tracks for you, Uter.
26.
Theater was actually pretty fun. It was really fun. I didn't buy it for a while. I just played the demo, and even the demo was just...
There's at least... I mean, are you counting remakes?
They just...
like 25, 30 at least.
Yeah.
Tigers games alone is like 10.
But they're what are they? Compartmentalized. You don't have to... Each number is not lead into the next one.
There's only 3 or 4 that are actually connected. So Tactics 12 and Vagrant Story are part of the Ivalice Alliance series, and that's all on Ivalice at different times. Is that world. And those 3 are connected, right? But you don't have to play... They're connected, but you don't need to know anything about the other ones to play one of them. Okay. Final Fantasy X, X2, X3... So 10, 10, 2, 10, 3. Those are all together.
So you know better than I would.
13, I kind of fell off of Final Fantasy for a little bit. Favorite Final Fantasy game? Oh, that's easy. Tactics.
Yeah, that's true.
Full stop.
You do like Tactics a lot.
That is my favorite. Is that the best Final Fantasy game? Not necessarily.
Dog Dad, if you want to play one, it really depends, because there are some sci-fi ones, and there's some medieval ones, and there's some like Victorian.
Steampunky ones.
Yeah.
And
my favorite is 9. But
9 is a really, really well-made game, and it is definitely was underrated.
20 years after it came out is when it finally started to get it, like...
I think a lot of people have gone back I don't think it took quite 20 years, but I think a lot of people went back to 9 and were like, wait a minute, this game is awesome. It looks very cartoony, and especially where they were coming off 7 and 8, where they started to get like really realistic and look really good. When they went back to that very cartoony style for 9, it threw a lot of people off. Is 16 and 14 connected? I have no idea.
16 gameplay is fun. Yeah, I bet, because 15, the gameplay in 15 was really fun.
I liked 15 quite a bit.
It was really good. I'm assuming it's more of the same, but with a little more of a Devil May Cry feel, because somebody informed me, because I said it looks like Devil May Cry, that
I've heard it's very...
One of the designers for Devil May Cry was part of 16.
I would like them to see them do a proper Final Fantasy movie, besides Advent Children, which was a great movie.
I mean, they did Spirits Within.
And yes, they do.
Those Final Fantasy in name only, really.
Yes. 7 Remake is great. The 7 Remake has been good. I'm looking forward to the next one. It better go all the way the rest of the way through the game, or I'm going to be irritated. Because if I'm having to wait 5 years between installments, and I'm going to need another one. All right. I think that's what we're going to call it for today. We should be back at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow with more Super Show. No, not 10:30. 11:30. Sorry. 11:30 a.m. tomorrow with more Super Show. Come into the store, see us. Don't forget, go to gamers7pnw.com. Watch the Discord. Watch our social media closely, because we will be making some really, really cool announcements about the store in the next couple of days. Don't forget, lots of events this weekend. Bye, everybody.
So long. Bye, gamers. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Yeah.
That was something.
Something different, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Not sorry.